Hello, today I'm going to talk about some tricks uh, that the ancient Greeks, the old people in Athens and Sparta, worked out for giving speeches. And these are old tricks. It's called rhetoric, which means just speaking, I think. Uh, and they all involve using repetition, repeating words. Humans, we are quite simple, really, and we forget things. And the only way to remember things is to have them repeated, repeat and repeat and repeat, and then it gets in your brain like a pop song. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. She loves you, yeah, yeah. That's why pop songs are memorable because they have a chorus that's repeated again and again and again. Well, like a song, good speech, making a speech, there's often lots of repeating. And the ancient Greeks knew about this, and they gave them words that I'm going to tell you. So we're going to do some ancient Greek here. Okay, you ready? Right, here's some ancient Greek tricks to sound smarter. Yes, kind of. The first one here is epistrophe. Sounds like apostrophe, doing in writing, but epistrophe means repetition at the end of a sentence. And one of the great examples is you'll hear them in speeches by politicians. Recently, or so recently, was Obama. President Obama. He famously got elected when he used his speech, "Yes, we can." That was his motto, and so he'd say, "Oh, Americans, we need to fix our roads, fix the roads that we use. Can we do it? Yes, we can. And not only that, we need to be the number one country in the world. Can we do it? Yes, we can." And then the audience was kind of repeating, "Yes, we can." He got elected on it, largely because of this simple three-word repetition. Okay, that's one, epistrophe. Okay, number two is anaphora. Anaphora, the ancient Greek word, and it means repetition at the beginning of a sentence. So, "yes, we can" is at the end of a sentence, and at the beginning, using the same words again and again. There's a famous speech by Winston Churchill, who was the Prime Minister of Britain, when the Nazis in Germany were attacking Britain, and Britain looked very weak, and maybe we were going to lose. And he gave a very strong speech on the radio. The radio was like Twitter or Line or something, social media. It was the what everybody listened to. And one of his famous speeches was called "Fighting on the Beaches." He said, "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields." And it had lots of these, and it ends, "We shall never surrender." It was a very patriotic speech, fighting against the Nazis, and luckily we won. But anyway, the he uses this one. "We shall fight. Da, 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 We shall fight. Da, 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 We shall fight." Da, 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 da. And you think, well, that's just saying the same thing again and again. But people remember that speech and say, "Oh, Churchill was a great speeches." So make things simple. If you have to give a speech, use some repetition, either at the end or at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, that's your basic stuff. Now here's the advanced one. Are you ready? This one's called antimetabole. Antimetabole. And it means rhetorical inversion, typically AB, BA. What? This is where you're using repeating, but you're repeating differently in two ways, and the pattern is A, B, B, A. What? For example, "It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." So you've taken there, you've got dog in the fight, and then you've moved it around to fight in the dog. What does that mean? That means it's not important how strong the dog. If you've got two dogs fighting, it doesn't matter how strong the dog is. It's how much the dog wants to win. The strength of the fight in the dog. Okay, that's a famous one, but there's the most famous one is a speech, and it says, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." That's famously Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, who said that. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So he's got you and your country, country and you. And so it starts with country and you and your country. But it sounds great. And the reason this last one, number 3, works very well in speeches is because, number one, it's just complex enough to disguise its formulaic. So we know it's a formula, but it's just a little bit difficult to remember and work out. So it sounds like almost magic. Like, oh wow, he's very intelligent. Oh, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Wow, it's very intelligent. Well, kind of. It's useful as it draws a clear contrast. So you've got two things that are completely different. A small dog that doesn't want to, sorry, a big dog that doesn't want to fight, and a little dog that does want to fight. Oh yes, that's a big difference. And also number 3 is quite poppy, like a chorus in a pop song. Yeah, it's the repeating makes it memorable. She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's too old, isn't it? Yeah. Rolling Stones, it should be. That's the Beatles. It's the wrong one. But anyway. Okay, so these are just 3 little tricks that the ancient Greeks knew about. And anyway, I wonder. So I've got some questions here. It says, do you know of any famous speeches? What makes them so good? I don't know any in Japanese. Of course, my Japanese isn't very good. Do Japanese politicians give good speeches? A few times I've listened to Japanese speeches and not been very good, but then my Japanese is so bad, so they tend to be too long. But I don't know. Do you know any famous ones? Number 2, do Japanese politicians use similar language when making speeches? Or not only politicians, do Japanese people, do you use repetition if you're giving a speech or a talk in front of other people? And that leads me to number 3. Have you ever had to give a speech? Wow. Standing in front of maybe a class or in business or in some occasion and you have to speak. What tips do you have for speaking in public? Anything, any advice? Do you get very nervous if you have to speak in public? I used to. Yeah, we can talk about that. Okay, there you go. There's three tips. Get practicing, and we'll talk about it when I see you next. Okay, thank you very much. I will stop recording. Okay, see you soon.